Hello out there, you're welcome to How to Create Wealth as a Career Person, the entrepreneur's guide to the wealthy place. I'm Olumide Emmanuel. I'm so excited to be able to share this time with you through this audio program. If you are listening to this audio program right now, it means that you already have a copy of my latest book titled How to Create Wealth as a Career Person. This audio program comes as an addition to this book and also the video series that was also attached. I hope you have downloaded the video. The video is titled How to Create Wealth as a Career Person, and it's in 3 parts. It was delivered at the Success Business and Leadership School, a school that I have the privilege to run, and we have the sessions every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Nigerian time. You can always join us online and also go to my YouTube channel at Dr. Olumide Emmanuel to listen to all the different modules that we've dealt with over the years, and also join us to continue to enjoy from the Success Business and Leadership School. If for any reason you're listening to this audio or the video and you do not have a copy of the book How to Create Wealth as a Career Person, then you need to contact us and get a copy of the book. How do you get a copy of the book? Well, go to my website, www.olumideemmanuel.org, olumideemmanuel.org, or you can call us on 0809 144 7423, 0809 144 7423, or 0802 305 9058, 0802 305 9058, or send us an email at ouroverseer@gmail.com, ouroverseer@gmail.com. Why did I write this book? Well, I've been writing a lot of books for a while now. I've been an author for about 34 years. I've written over 100 books, and this book happens to be the 55th book that I'm publishing. And my first book on finances was written and published in 2006, and it was titled How to Be a Millionaire, and later retitled as The Pathway to Wealth. And that was the first book I wrote that itemized and documented a lot of things about my own journey, after which I released a lot of other books on wealth creation. So far, most of the books that I've released on wealth creation have been geared towards helping people to create wealth, have been geared towards helping people to be able to become financially literate in order to become the best version of themselves. However, one thing that I've realized that has become a constant that needed clarification is this continual push that people need to become entrepreneurs. So you hear the continual narrative that, oh, if you want to be wealthy, you need to be an entrepreneur. If you want to become successful, you need to be an entrepreneur. You need to have your own business. You need to start your own business and all this stuff. And I realized that there is not enough balance out there with reference to this aspect of entrepreneurship and wealth creation, especially with reference to career people. I realized that a lot of people that are career people have been made to believe that in order for them to create wealth, then they need to exit their career. But that's not actually true. So you have a lot of people that have left their career path and they have become entrepreneurs when they need not to become entrepreneurs. And then many people are calling themselves entrepreneurs, or I'm a CEO. They go around with complimentary car, they go around with all kinds of titles, but they're not really doing anything substantial. Sometimes their turnover in an entire year is not even up to the monthly income of a business or career executive. So I realized that there was a need for us to bring in the balance to help people understand what needs to be done to create wealth. I know a lot of people that are career people. They love their job. They love their career. They want to become career professional. And they're like, look, I want to be wealthy, but I don't want to leave my job. I love what I'm doing. And that's why I realized that I needed to write a book to help bring the balance to the equation. I personally believe that no one can become rich and wealthy through salaries. But I also believe that even though you cannot become rich and wealthy through salaries, there are things you can do along with your salary that will help you to become rich and wealthy. And that's why I wrote the book. And I believe very strongly that all the things you're going to learn in this book will be a tremendous help to you. I was born into a family where I'm the first child of my family, and my parents, my dad was working in the civil service. My mom was more, into catering and selling of foods and all those stuff. And all through our upbringing, I can never remember a day when my father, my mother, or both of them sat me or my siblings down to teach us anything that has to do with saving money, investing money, becoming rich, becoming wealthy. All we kept hearing is go to school, go to school, go to school. Just like many people, we're made to believe, oh, you just need to go to school, get a good grade so that you can get a good job, and then you can retire. All I owe you is education. All I owe you is education. And then you realize that many of us were made to believe that academic education was all that we required in order to become financially free. But now we are wiser now. We now know better. But many of us have lost the opportunity to do a lot of things with our lives. But now I believe that with this book, the opportunity has come for everyone that will take advantage of the information and act upon them to have a complete turnaround in their lives. Because whenever you wake up, that's when your morning starts. So financial education was not part of my own background as an individual, and growing through life, in the middle class family, going through all kinds of experiences. I just kept learning what I could learn based on the experiences I had, based on the exposures that I had, based on the people I was able to relate or associate with. So I didn't really take this issue of finances as serious as I should. Then comes in religion. I've come to realize that religion is more dangerous than the devil. I personally do not believe in religion. As a matter of fact, I hate religion. To me, I'm a Christian. I do not believe that Christianity is a religion. I believe Christianity is a relationship with your Creator. And if you practice Christianity as a religion, you're going to be in trouble, because you're going to end up becoming a pawn in the hands of charlatans, or you're going to end up being limited by the interpretation of people when it comes to scripture. So I got born again as a teenager, became a pastor at the age of 21. By the age of 24, 25, I'd already started a ministry that still have the privilege to pastor and oversee up till now with the global network of churches all over the world. But one thing that was happening was, coming into church, I realized that I kept being taught about finances from the spiritual aspect. Oh, we need to give, we need to give, we need to give. When you give, God will bless you. When you give, God will change your life. And I'm asking myself, I don't even have something to give. At least we have first before you start talking of giving. And I realized that majority of the time, from the religious aspect, the church was most concerned about getting money from me instead of teaching me how to get money. People talk about 10%, then you need to bring 10%, you need to bring, and I'm like, okay, 90 is more than 10. Why are we so focused on telling people to bring 10%, and we are not that passionate about teaching them what to do with the remaining 90%? By the time they now mess up the 90% by their financial irresponsibility and their financial illiteracy, they turn around to say it's the 10 that you collected that made them poor. So when it comes to being a Christian, that's one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me in my life. But planning, being a Christian from the religious aspect was a problem until I understood God for myself and I understood kingdom. And that the turnaround in my own life came in 1997. In 1997, I got married for the first time, and that's when my story changed. Why? Because I fell for the trap. You can be a Christian and you're just naive. You just believe everybody is clean, everybody is good. When people say it, you just go around with this naive, life or simple. You are just, when the Bible talks about somebody being simple, you are just simple. You just naive. Just see everything. I fell for that trap of I love you the way you are. And I never realized that I love you the way you are does not mean that I love you to remain the way you are. I never realized that when a woman tells you I love you the way you are, it doesn't mean you should not change. It doesn't mean your story should not change. I suddenly realized that there is no romance without finance. I suddenly realized that if you are single and poor, you may be able to marry, but don't ever try to be poor as a married man. Don't ever try to come into marriage and then you have responsibilities and you're not able to take care of the responsibilities. And we all, we're brought up to believe, oh, you are the man. You have to take care of responsibility. You have to take care of your family, feed your children. That's the way we're raised. And many of us were raised to believe that our manhood is connected to our sexuality and connected to our finances. So when you are not able to perform in the other room, in the world of sexuality, they say you are not a man. When you're not able to take care of the bills and take care of the responsibility, they say you are not a man. So many of us have not been able to find our identity because our identity is connected to activity instead of our personality. So you end up realizing that when you have money, you feel like a man. When you don't have money, you feel you're not a man. When you are good in the bedroom, you feel you're a man. When you're not good in the bedroom, you feel you're not a man. And that has messed up the life of a lot of people. And when I began to experience, all kinds of abuse, all kinds of situation that was just not okay, I was frustrated. Because you don't want to ever be in that place where you wake up every day. You have already explained yourself. This is who I am. This is how much I earn. This is what I have. Are we good? Oh, no problem. Don't worry. It's not about money. Let's go ahead. God is in control. I love you the way you are. It doesn't matter. And then I realized that money matters. Oh, in the world of relationship, money matters. And we say Yoruba o mata o muyo. So all of a sudden, I became frustrated because of the consistent attack, consistent abuse. You are not a man, and all kinds of. I'm like, the verbal abuse was heavy, all manner of abuse, and I'm not happy being a man and not being able to take care of things that I feel I should take care of, both the responsible one and the realistic one and the unrealistic ones. And that became a frustrating experience. Then all of a sudden, so the first mistake I made was to get married as a poor man. Now, I'm not saying you must be rich before you get married, but I personally believe that before you get married, you must make sure that you really understand what marriage is and you understand the responsibilities and you have what it takes to be able to take care of the basics, because there is no way, I repeat, there is no way you will go into a relationship called marriage and then you will not be expecting a miracle to sustain you every day. That is not a sustainable principle. God is a God of principles. And then I made the second greatest mistake of my life. I impregnated my wife. You see, the pregnancy was not a mistake, but bringing a child into the world, not having money to be able to take care of the child, is a mistake. And then as the pregnancy was growing, my frustration was growing. As the pregnancy was growing, my depression was growing, and the entire atmosphere was just toxic. And then one day, in my frustration, I cried out to God and said, God, I am tired. I have served you all my life. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't lie, I don't womanize, I don't do evil. I pay my tithe, I give my offering. I'm a Christian, I serve you, I fast, I do everything that I've been taught to do as a Christian. Why will I find myself in this kind of situation of consistent abuse, of consistent dehumanization, why? I didn't enroll for this. God, you need to save me. I'm tired of poverty. I'm tired. God, help me out. And all of a sudden, I heard it very clearly, because I was throwing scriptures at God. You said in your word, you said in your word, you said in your word. And I kept hearing, who told you? Who told you? Who told you? And I'm like, wow, what do you mean by that? For the first time in my life, I suddenly realized that many of the scriptures I built my faith on, many of the scriptures I built my Christianity on, many of the scriptures I built my life on were based on the religious interpretation of the pastors and the ministers and the denominations that I've been exposed to. I suddenly realized that a lot of us, like I was then, were nothing but victims in the hand of religious leaders who interpret scripture based on their own personal lens, and entire denominations have been built around scriptural interpretation of their overseer or their fathers, and an entire generation has been programmed based on the religious interpretation of denominations. And it takes a high level of encounter with God for you to be able to break free from some of this level of programming. Why? Because our culture itself does not even empower you to question elders or to ask questions. We're not raised like that. That's why many of us are wondering when our children are asking questions, why? You're like, who born you? In the days of our own day, can you even ask your father why? But that's because many of us were brought up in that kind of environment. And then I said, God, what are you saying? He said, do you really want to be free? I said, yes, if you want to be free, then come with me. Let me show you how to be free. And then from Genesis all the way to Revelation, God started schooling me in the scripture and opening my eyes to his own interpretation and his own kingdom perspective to all manner of scriptures that before then I had only seen from religious perspective. I'm like, wow. And then he told me some things that shook me. He said, who is the richest man in Africa? And I'm talking 1997, 98 now. Who is the richest man in Asia? Who is the richest man in North America? Who is the richest man in Europe? I'm like, wow. I didn't know. I don't know. I'm not. That's not because we're told, oh, just read Christian book. You don't read unbeliever book. Don't read. Religion can finish you. Can you imagine? You went to school. You studied. You are a medical doctor. You read books by unbeliever. You are a lawyer. You read book by unbeliever. Now you become a Christian. They say you can't read book by unbeliever. Whereas it's the books by unbeliever that made you a lawyer, made you a doctor. Are you saying how religion can mess you up? That you just lose train of your mind? And I said, he said, so how do you want to become rich when you have never studied the life of rich people? I said, wow. So for 8 months, all into 1998, I was on a massive 8-month encounter with God, reading biographies and autobiographies, studying the life of rich and wealthy people all over the world to know exactly what makes these people who they are. And by the time I was through, I suddenly realized that every rich man, every rich woman, anywhere in the world, the same principles is what makes them what they are. I suddenly realized that principles are universal, but the application of those principles are personal, contextual, and geographical. And I said, wow. And I came out with what it takes to change. And listen to me, even though my financial situation did not change, my destiny changed, because true change begins from the inside. You have to become rich to attract riches. You have to become wealthy to attract wealth. I became rich. I became wealthy by virtue of the knowledge that I have. Because if you are not informed, you will be deformed. If you are not inspired, you will expire. If you are not updated, you will be outdated. If you are not in the know, you cannot be in the flow. What you know determines how far you go. Those who know rule over those who do not know. If you know better, you do better. By virtue of this knowledge, I became a changed person. My language changed, my thinking changed, my action changed, my habit changed, my expectation changed. And that transformation on the inside began to attract a turnaround on the outside. And all the things I learned were all put in my first book that is called Pathway to Wealth Now. So if you don't have a copy of that book, you need to go there, because in that book, I spoke to my primary constituency, the church. I opened the eyes of the church to all this full-time ministry, bringing balance. I went into, all the scriptural interpretation of generational curse, generational blessing. I opened up scriptures in a dimension that was like, wow. And in 2006, because I had to wait for my own story to change. So when I got into that encounter, 1997, 98, I started practicing. By 2001, my story had changed. Just 3 years later, it was visible that things have shifted. Within 5 years, things have started happening on a global level. And I was like, wow. So this is how easy it is to be rich. And I was struggling all my life. And I said, okay, God now said, go teach my people how to create wealth and bring balance to my church and raise kingdom billionaires as kingdom ambassadors in the marketplace. And then, boom, I started going around the world teaching people and helping people to get the same. So the first book I wrote was written after I had my own personal testimony, and that book is called The Pathway to Wealth. 5 years later, in 2012, I released what is now known as the global bestseller. It's called The School of Money: How to Make, Manage, and Multiply Your Money, the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. Because I suddenly also realized that after releasing the first book to my primary constituency, as I was going around the world, I realized that majority of the books that are being read by people when it comes to education were written by Europeans, Americans, foreigners. Hardly will you find a book written by an African that became rich and wealthy in Africa, became a global player from Africa, and we're able to give people not just an African context, but a global context of wealth with an African flavor and uniqueness that people can relate to. Because many times people read the books of all these wonderful people that I have also read, but they don't know how to practice it, because yes, the principles are universal, but the application is personal, it's contextual, it's geographical, and then people get lost, and they don't have access to these people to have mentorship session with them to ask questions and get clarity. And then I wrote the book, The School of Money. Little did I know that the School of Money was going to change the game on a global dimension. So if you don't have a copy of The School of Money, you need to get that one. It's the Bible of wealth creation. Thousands of people all over the world have had their destinies changed and have become somebody else when it comes to the realm of finances just because of this book, The School of Money. However, looking at the School of Money again, it was generally about wealth creation, teaching people how to create wealth, talking people how to become entrepreneurs, because I personally believe that entrepreneurship is the solution to many of the challenges that we have on the continent. A lot of people are poor today because they don't know how to create wealth. A lot of people are going through all kinds of stuff. On the continent today, we have corruption, we have unemployment, underemployment, we have poverty. Entrepreneurship will help solve many of these problems. People steal because they don't know how to create wealth. Yeah, if people know how to create wealth, why are they going to steal? Why are they going to be corrupt? Because you know what to do to get the money. People are unemployed today because they go to school. Schools don't teach financial intelligence. So they go to school, and the first thing they want to come and do is to come and look for a job. I beg to apply. So I wrote that book, and it's another book you need to have. Then I've written another one. It's called 50 Common Money Mistakes to Avoid. Wow. Many people make mistakes consistently. Because like I said, which you will also learn in this book, you are either educated, uneducated, or miseducated. There are 3 dimensions. And the miseducation dimension is the most dangerous one. So 50 Common Money Mistakes to Avoid is another massive, book I've written on finances. And then I've written Bridging the Gap. The rich and the poor are the same anywhere in the world. Human beings are the same. You just need to go around the world. You will suddenly, every human being are the same. And you realize that when you go around the world, all the rich people, all the poor people, they have the same habits, the same attitude, they apply the same principles. And how do we bridge the gap between the rich and the poor? That's what that book deals with. Then I wrote another one called Creating Your Success Story. Another amazing one. And then we have all manner of audio programs, Wealth Creation Park. We have all manner of products that have been written all in the area of finances. I have all kinds of materials that you will get to meet and know about even in this book. So this book will be a tremendous help to you. And I want to ask that you do everything you can to ensure that you read. I've added few pages at the end of each chapter so that you can take notes. So as you are reading, take notes at the end of each chapter, and then make sure that you learn and take advantage of all that the book has to offer. Now, the book is made up of 14 chapters. So I think a little over 500 pages, maybe 500 and something pages. So, but you're going to enjoy it. It's a good read. So in the introductory part of the book, so let me go through my own review. I've shared my story, but let me just go through my review and my story. So in the book, I started with the introduction, and in the introduction, I also listed out the reasons why you need to get the book. So those that the book is all about. And so if you are tired of the rat race, then the book is for you. Because, even in the rat race of life, even if you win the race, you are still a rat. Whether your handcuff is made of gold or silver or wood, handcuff is handcuff. If you are tired of being stuck in the cycle of lack, then this book is for you. You are tired of lack, hardship, and insufficiency, this book is for you. If you are tired of being in and out of debt, this book is for you. If you are tired of being at the same spot in your career journey, no promotion, no progression, the only thing growing is your age, then this book is for you. If you love your career and you want to be wealthy, but you understand that entrepreneurship is not your thing, you want to stay in your career and build a career as a professional, then this book is for you. If you are looking for clarity and balance on how you can create wealth as a career person, this book is for you. So you need to get this book as one of your major book and read it, what you've already got in the book. So just make sure you read it. I'm telling you, read it over and over and over again, and make sure you take notes using the notes session at the end. Now, so the first chapter, once we're done with the introduction, the first chapter is what I call the financial intelligence test. As I go around the world, because not everybody knows Olumide Emmanuel. Some people have never heard about me. So sometimes I'm hosting events in places, And then some people are talking, he's coming to town. They say, who is he? You don't know Olumide. They say, who is Olumide? So you see, and then sometimes I host meetings, or I'm invited to come and speak in a place, and they're like, who is this one? How did they know? Because I speak in platforms all over the world. So sometimes I'm the only black man in the hall. What is this black man coming to tell us? Or I go into a place and they feel like, who does? And then because I'm also a pastor, once they hear pastor like this, they say, what's the pastor doing in finance? Hey, you should go and stay with me. They think I'm a religious person, so they just judge and prejudge. They say, pastor, we don't want to hear, we are not here for church. So one of the things that God gave me the wisdom to do in the early parts of my journey was to just help people to see the reason why they need to open up. So I came up with the financial intelligence test. So the financial intelligence test is just 26 questions that you will answer. And every meeting I do all over the world, when I'm doing a training session, I take people through the test so that you will know where you are and you'll be able to start the journey. Because most of the time, people come in with the thing they know, they don't know that they don't know, they don't want to know. So they come in with that air of, who is he? What does he want to say? I've read all kinds of books. I've gone to this. I've met people that have told me all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, no problem. And it's when they finish, they're like, wow. I've met people that have said things that I'm like, I was speaking at an event earlier I was in Dallas, Texas, doing my School of Money events. And one of my friends, we went to school together. So we've known each other for over 30 years. So this is someone that is doing well. When I say doing well, he's doing well. But of course, he comes into this meeting with his wife, and at the end of the meeting, he came to me and said, you know what? For the first time in my life, I just realized that I don't really know you and know your value. That because we are friends, we grew up together, and you are a pastor, I only see from you. I've been hearing that you are doing all these things, but I just let me even come and hear what Olumide say. He said, my God. He said, if all the things you said today, if I have heard this thing 20 years ago, my life will have been. He now started offloading some things to me, and I'm like, I thought you were doing well. He said, and he was now telling me, I said, wow, it's not good to be looking at things from afar. So many people don't know that they don't know. They think that they know. And most people that fall into that category are career people because they have a job and they are earning money and they seem as if everything is stable. You can travel abroad, you have your own house, you have car, you have some savings there. You think you know everything. And then all you need is just to lose the job. And 3 months later, you discover how poor you are. You discover that when you thought you are stable, you are not stable. So please take this test. Don't jump through it. Take the test and then we move on. Then in the second chapter, I spoke about decoding poverty because poverty is something that not many people understand. So how do we really understand what poverty is? So I decoded poverty. Poverty is a spirit. Poverty is a mindset. Poverty is an habit. Poverty is a lifestyle. Poverty is a state. And then I looked at the different dimensions of poverty because if you are going to come out of poverty, you need to understand what you are running from. Then in chapter 3, we looked at the portals of wealth creation. If you are going to create wealth, you can either do it through the entrepreneurship portal, the investment portal, or the career portal. And I explained a little of the two, and I focused more on the career portal. Then in chapter 4, I went on to now open our eyes to understand wealth creation as I shared on the 10 global facts about wealth creation. My. When I was reading the book, during the time of the editing, I'm like, wow, this is massive. And that's what happens when I wrote the School of Money book. When I now read the book myself, I'm like, are you sure you are the one that wrote it? If I didn't know I'm the one that wrote it, even me, I would doubt myself. That's what has happened again with this book. Reading through this book, I'm asking myself, you mean I wrote all these things? I'm telling you, so you need to get this information. Then in the 5th chapter, I now spoke about the gospel of entrepreneurship. Because we keep talking about entrepreneur, there are intrapreneurs. And we need to understand that aspect so that as a career person, you will know that you don't need to go and start your own business to create wealth. You can run a business within a business and you can work and operate from within your organization as a career professional and still create wealth. Then we'll move on to the 6th chapter where I now spoke about the 10 career wealth code. So as a career person, if you want to become rich, there are 10 things that I believe will help you. And guess what? These are things that I've spoken about for over 20 years. So there are things that have worked already. We have testimonials. There are people that are already testimonials of what I'm writing. I'm only writing this book now because I have a release to. All the information I'm putting in this book are things that have been available, but I needed to wait for the right time and to get a prompting to do it, and that's why I'm doing it right now. Then in chapter 7, I spoke about retirement planning, which is one aspect that a lot of us need to realize there are 3 inevitable hours in the life of every individual: retire, retrench, resign. Whether you like it or not, you will retire one day. Are you prepared for it? And you're going to learn a lot of revolutionary stuff about retirement. Then in chapter 8, I brought a case study. That case study is a case study that when I read it for the first time years ago, I was like, wow. So I've used it as a case study in many events I've done all over the world, and I decided to put it in this book so that you can also now do it for yourself and run the case study with your family, with your friends, and learn. Because God forbid, there are many things that God has forbidden that life will always permit. Then for the first time in my writing ministry and in my writing journey and in my writing career, I have brought in other people to join in this book. So in the chapter 9 of this book, titled The Chronicles, I brought in 16 of my mentees because I wanted to bring professionals, because these are things I've taught and they have produced results already. People are already working the reality of what this book is meant to do. So I said, okay, it just dropped. Get these people to be involved. I'm like, who do I talk to? If I start talking to all my people all over the world, the book will end up becoming like 10,000 pages. So he said, no, limit it to Nigeria. Okay, so I knew I had to limit it to Nigeria. Okay, limit it to your close circle. I said, okay, and that's how I started, looking until I was able to come down to, about 25 of them. But because of the time available and all those stuff, we were only able to end up with just 16 people because many of them did not meet up with the deadline that was required. And so I just have 16. And a lot of people all over the world have the same testimonial that chapter 9 unveils. So in chapter 9, you see the chronicles of these 16 people. I put their picture there, I put their profile there, and in their own words, I just asked them specific questions, and they answered in their own words. And one thing you will see, when I was reading everybody's story, I'm like, wow, do you know what? Many of them don't know who else I've given them. So it's when they are reading this book, that's when they are going to find out for the first time the other people that I brought on board. And that's when they are going to read for the first time what other people have written. And you'll be amazed at how the answers of everybody seem to be the same. And it's still the same thing about all the principles that I've said. Principles are universal. And you see a lot of thread in their journey. You see a lot of similarities, you see a lot of uniqueness in their journey, and they cut across different sections, from HR to finance to medical to to business to education to oil and gas to all kinds of. They come from different sectors so that you can see a holistic aspect of the application of this principle, that no matter the career path you are in, you can become wealthy. And then in chapter 10, I begin to narrow down to what I have put in place that can now help you to achieve that. So we have the Global Wealth Network, where I open you up to the world of mentorship. I run the Billionaires Conclave, a global network of high net worth individuals, families, and organizations. Many of these people, in a space of 2 to 5 years, have seen themselves doing amazingly well. We have members from 14 different nations all over the world. So we will open you up to that network. Then in chapter 11, we look at the Global Wealth Platform. Because in the world that we live in today, education has been redefined. So I welcome you into the platform that we have put in place, that you can go through, that can help you anywhere you are. You can go through that virtually, and then you are able to produce a result. Then in chapter 12, I unveil to you all the different products that I have available, all manner of products. So don't miss any of this. Don't think, oh, I'm just going to jump. No, each of this chapter, I made them a chapter for a purpose, so that you will spend time to appreciate each of this chapter and maximize the possibilities that are there. Then we go to chapter 13. Now listen, when you get into chapter 13, in fact, once you are done with chapter 12, you can stop the book. Because immediately after chapter 12, I put in a caveat there. Because when you are entering chapter 13 of this book is not compulsory for everybody. So let me tell you up front, if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in prayer, you don't believe in the supernatural, you are an atheist, you are a free thinker, you have problem with God, then don't go to chapter 13 at all. It's not for you. Finish the book in chapter 12 and move on. Your money don't finish. Your money has expired in chapter 12. But if you want to enter into the next dimension, then chapter 13 is for you. Why? You are either in the secret cult or you are in the secret place. You see, in this world that we are in, there's no middle ground. Everybody is using something. Just be sure that the one you are using is the right one. If you don't know that, if you are not using anything, people are using something against you. And many people have become casualty in the world because they don't understand the reality of the spirit realm. The realm of the spirit is the realm where events occur before they happen. So if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in prayer, you don't believe in sacrifice, you don't believe in the supernatural, leave chapter 13. It's only for people that are kingdom people, that want to operate in the fullness of the plan of the Creator for their life. Because in chapter 13, I welcome you to the family of God. I give you an opportunity to be saved and to become a kingdom citizen, not a church goer, but to become a true child of God. Then in chapter 13, I also now show you examples, case studies of CEOs and many people that have abandoned God and seen the result of abandoning God, and how they have come to realize the place of God in wealth creation, where we look at the God factor, and their stories, their picture is there in their own words, so that you will see examples of people, so that you will learn that this thing is not new. And then I now take you into the realm of the spirit, and I have what I call the prayer points. So because you need to pray. If you don't believe in fasting, you don't believe in prayer, hey, you better, when you get there, you see it. And then I also welcome you to the altar of sacrifice. Hey, listen to me. I'm even feeling the anointing as I'm speaking right now. I'm telling you, if you believe in God and you believe in the supernatural, explore chapter 13 and let the Lord lead you, and you'll be amazed at the testimonies that will come out of your life. And then we'll wrap up with chapter 14, where we have the global wealth contact, where we have my contact and everything about how you can reach me. So one of the things that will have happened by the time you are reading this book is I'm going to be having an Insta Live session on women and wealth creation. Wealth is not sexually transmitted, with some women. Some of them are part of this book, some of them are part of my network, but they are not in this book. And then I'm also going to be having a foretaste with some of my mentees and some of my friends too, on how to create wealth as a career person, the foretaste. And this is going to be part of the global launch. So make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, then go to my YouTube channel and go and listen and watch all the videos, because you're going to be hearing their stories. Now, you will read about them in this book, but you will hear about them and see them live through the Insta Live session for those of them that will be joining me, and then that will be another amazing opportunity. So, welcome to an amazing book that will do amazing things in your life. So I look forward to hearing your testimonies. I would love to hear from you. If you have any question, your prayer request, you have anything, you have just read the book and respond to every request and respond to every offer that I've made in the book, and I'll be glad to hear your testimony one of these days. So till I see you or hear from you, keep your dream alive. I'll see you at the top. Bye for now.